I often have calls with people that are new to the industry. They want to know what licenses are needed for a debt collector. They want to know if there's one that's a nationwide license. Can I just get one and collect everywhere? Unfortunately, that's not the case. There's many things we need to talk about, whether you're doing commercial collections, whether you're doing consumer collections, where you're located, how many locations you have. One of the most important things, however, is something that is not often thought of immediately. You need to be licensed where your debtor is located. So if you're collecting from someone in Georgia, and there's not a debt collection licensing requirement here in Georgia, and I moved to Tennessee, you then need to be licensed in Tennessee in order to continue collecting from me. So that's not only where you're located, it's not only where the debt has occurred, but it is where the debtor is located. In today's world, we often move around a lot, and so that's something that's very hard to keep in your books and to know exactly where everyone is. Cell phone numbers transfer as well, so you may have a number that you think is local to the Atlanta area, but they're actually sitting in Tennessee or New York City, and so the licensing requirements need to be looked at there. For consumer collections, there are 37 states and 4 cities that need to be looked at based on where you're collecting, where your debtors are. If you're doing commercial collections, there are some exemptions that are possible. For example, Colorado. If you're doing consumer collections, you need to be licensed. If you're doing 100% commercial collections, you're exempt from the licensing requirement. There are states that are considered open border. Georgia, for example, that's an open border state. There's not a licensing requirement here in Georgia. There's a certificate of authority that's obtainable, but it's not required for the collection of debt. There are out-of-state exemptions to consider. Michigan, for example, if you're not located in Michigan and you're communicating with debtors via interstate communication, you may not need that license. So there are many things that you need to look at as you're scoping out your licensing project before you begin.